she excels at that you lead. From our heart, you was born and I will rise and fall, praises all I will go through. From our heart, you was born and you will live.
Now at this time we'll have our Black National Anthem by our sixth graders, the trio, Scholar Beasley, Scholar Hall, and Scholar Lindsay.
Neither one of them three are good children. They're all bad.
It's the especially the shortest one.
The shortest one is the worst.
What is the bathroom? I know.
With the dreads, the Boosie's broken. I had.
Eat them be so old, these kids.
I used to have hair like that. Oh, okay. Shit was broken.
It's great.
Lift every voice and sing to earth and heaven. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the lifting skies. Let it ring down loud as a rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the bread has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day. Let us march on till victory is won. Stony the road we trod, bitter, felt and born. The blaze for which our being we have come over a way that the tears have been watered. We have come treading our path in the blood of the slaughtered. Out from the gloomy past till now we stand at last, where the white gleam of our bright star is cast. God of our weary years, God of our silent tears, Thou who has brought us
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone, again. I am Scholar Jaden Bush-Mosby. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the 5th Annual Woodson Institute Celebration Lecture Series 23. I welcome the intimate speakers who are all natives of Kentucky from all different walks of life, who have come to share the vast knowledge and background of African American experiences. Our theme is justice, how or sometimes trying to understand what justice means and how it manifests itself can have a negative impact on your mental health. So today we're going to highlight what mental health is and what it should deal with. Today we do the things a little differently. Before hearing from our guest speaker and panel, we have a few expression pieces from our fellow scholars. First, our band scholars will perform short instrumental piece presentations. Then our Media Arts Club will perform a special tribute of hip-hop's 50th anniversary. Followed by an original song that highlights today's topic of mental health. You are able to watch the entire series on our own YouTube page at CGWTV. Please enjoy the song. Now, just before that, we have a special presentation by Mr. Johnson. Give it up for Mr. Johnson, everyone.
All right, good morning, scholars and guests. Thank you all for being here this morning. Real quick, I just want to survey the audience. Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, if you're here, can you please come up on stage? Mom and Dad. All right, I know Mom said she was going to do everything she could to be here. Scholar Jackson, Tim Jackson, come here for a second, if you will. And then Scholar Rodriguez Jackson, where are you? Come on up here. All right, so I'm being told that Mom and Dad are coming through Frederick Douglass's security system. So we're just going to pause very briefly, if you don't mind, please. And quick second.
I cannot be part of it. Let me be a Jackson.
He was always he was in 8th grade. I remember he was like a bunch. I'm not. He's always been tall.
Mother came in like, Terry's over having an I got him. Oh, his father is this nigga's a picture. Look at him. Bro, Gary's a real geeky, bro. I gotta know this. You ever record this nigga, bro? He a real geeky. That nigga back there. This nigga over.
It's something to do with the, I was trying to straighten up there. They're trying to fix it.
Okay, everyone, and we're back.
Just like that. I'm going to have the band performance partner, own, very own band, come and display their gifts and talents. Y'all give them a round of applause.
Everybody percussion, bro? Is everybody percussion?
Thank you. What you see in front of you is our combined 7th and 8th grade students. And we have been studying world percussion and world percussion style. Today we're going to present a style in the traditional African sense, one built on rhythms and not built on melodies or singing of the song. It will feature all student leadership to start, to give the cues, and to end the piece of music. And we're going to feature 4 scholars on improvised solos. This is our world percussion 7th and 8th grade combined movement.
Oh, baby. Everybody did production property. They did, but they didn't see
Now at this time, everyone, we're going to have Mr. Johnson with this special presentation.
All right, good morning, everyone. Good morning. Very good. At this time, I would like to ask for Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, if you will, join us up on the stage, please. And then also Brother Tim Jackson, please. As Dr. Snodgrass would probably say, my kind of people, Albany, Georgia, right here. All right. Got the plug there right there, Mr. Jones. Okay. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if I can have your attention, please, for a very, very, very special announcement. And if you know anything about Carter G. Woodson, what I'm getting ready to share with you guys today, this feeds right into everything that we pour into our scholars on a daily basis. So I'm very proud to be standing here and presenting this wonderful gift to Scholar Jackson. I'm just going to read a little bit for you. I'm thrilled to announce that our very own scholar, Rodriguez Jackson, is being celebrated as a 2023 Black History Makers of Today Scholarship recipient. Mr. Guthrie in the cinematography program, where he gives leadership within that program and that academy, and then he also helps out. He could have left early at 12 noon like the majority of his scholars, but he chose to stay behind and work with Mr. Guthrie and some of those younger scholars in middle school. And so I just want to applaud you for doing that, young man. Great job. Academy, as well as the McDonald's franchisees, please know that we are very proud of you and your academic achievement. Ladies and gentlemen, just so that you know, there's a token of love that's in here that's being presented to Scholar Jackson on behalf of McDonald's. Okay? So in addition to the several novelty items in there, there's also a check, Mom and Dad, for $1,000. Congratulations, Scholar Jackson.
One more time, we're going to begin. Congratulations. without further ado, I'd like to introduce our Media Arts Club and their hip hop tribute.
Our projects into regionals, and then a few weeks ago we've decided to combine the.
These things 99%.
Next to Eric, bro, you.
Camera H.
Alone in the desert, where nobody knows where to find you. Alone in the desert, where nobody knows where to find you.
Lost in my head and I'm nightmare that I'm dead and it's more like I'm dreaming. Looking for something to believe in. Mood change like the seasons. Mood change with the seasons. Got a range of these feelings telling me I'm living for no reason. But the truth is, feeling sluggish, Babe Ruth is. On my coming up with excuses. My friends took the drugs and the juices. I hate when everybody acting clueless. I don't really like to get ruthless. But everybody know that I do this. At the end of the day, I really do this.
Alone in the desert.
media arts. So if you just bear with me, let me reset this, please.
This end of the day, I will
Well, now I'm going to present you guys with your guest speaker of today. Jared Murphy, a native of Huntsville, Alabama, is a school psychology student pursuing his PhD at the University of Kentucky. His current research focuses on creating a more positive school climate for black males, creating social, emotional learning curriculums for black males, and dismantling the school-to-prison pipeline. Please welcome Jared Murphy.
Can you all hear me? Pretty good? All right. That's good. Well, I just wanted to reintroduce myself. I am native of Huntsville, Alabama. You know, I don't know if we got any roll ties in here. But yeah, I'm from Huntsville, Alabama. I'm at Kentucky. I'm pursuing my PhD. I am in my second year in the school psychology program. And just to reiterate again, my research focus is mainly focused on gentlemen that look like you all, right? And providing you more resources so you can succeed better in school. All right? So how many of you all have heard it's okay to not be okay? Yeah. Right? So there's quite a few people over here that have heard that. Right? But do we really know what that means? Right? You do? That's good. But this presentation, we're going to outline and really look at what it really means to be okay, not being okay. All right? So, before we get into it, I wanted to have a little activity to get y'all engaged and whatnot. So it's a little would you rather activity, right? So I'm gonna have some scenarios up there, and you know when I go through each one, you can just raise your hand and pick which one you rather have. All right? Yeah. All right. So the first one, right? Somebody get dunked on. Would you rather get dunked on? And I'm talking about it's gonna look just like that. No. Just like that. Just like that. Yeah. Right? So then look, right? So then we got the second one. That's the game-winning touchdown, right? Stadium field is packed out. Somebody catch a game-winning touchdown on you.
Oh, that's me?
C. Packed out again. Somebody hit the game-winning shot on you. And then D, I don't know, D, you get crossed in front of everybody. With a ooh. Yeah. Right. All right, so listen up. Hear me out. All right, so which one of y'all would rather choose A? C? B? Okay. I got you, right? So many of you all choose B or C. So for me, I think it's probably it happens. So look, right? With this next slide, fellas, right? You got A. You in the lunchroom, you get roasted, right? You get roasted. You don't have no comeback. It's one of those where, like, you know, you look to the person who's laughing a little too hard. You're like, hey, bro, you're laughing too hard. Now I'm picking on you, right? So it's one of those. In B, you know, mom's is like, hey, you haven't been paying attention in school. Like, hey, bro, I'm gonna look like a granddaddy, right? So it's B. And then C, right? Your phone gets taken away for a month. I know y'all can't look at your phone. And then you got D, right? You got a fresh fit on, you got your Nike Tech, you got your all-white Forces, and you fall in the mud. I can clean him. D. So everybody feels like you see. I hear you. All right, so hear me out. Listen up. So with this next one, fellas, I do not want you all to raise your hands. I don't want you all to shout it out. I just want you to keep it to yourself, okay? And just think about it for a moment, right? Like process how you would feel in these moments, okay? So this first one is representative of your family maybe getting a divorce, right? B, you might get some bad news, right? From a loved one, about a loved one, somebody you really care about. And then C, somebody who's getting bullied every day, right? So these are all events that nobody wants to happen, and they're traumatizing events. And these events ultimately impact our emotional well-being as well as they can impact our physical well-being, right? So I know you're like, dang, well, who's this laughing? It was all cool with the other slides, right? And just like that, we got serious. That's how quick things can change. That's how quick your mental health can be impacted, right? And this also goes to show you that we all go through things. We all have experienced this, or we know somebody who has gone through this, right? And so you can do either two things when these things occur, right? You can internalize it, or you can go ask for help, right? Which leads me to my next slide. Only 5% of black men receive mental health services. 5%, right? Now, I looked up a census, and I couldn't find a more current one, but I found one from 2020. So it's about roughly 22 million black men in the United States. Only 5%. Anybody know why? Yes, sir. Slavery, that has a part to do with it. That has a part to do with it. Exactly. We think it's corny. We don't think it's cool to go get help, right? Which is why the numbers are so low. And to build off of that statistic, right, 26.4% of black and Hispanic men who were experiencing symptoms of depression and anxiety only went to go get help. So I know you're probably like, man, the numbers went up, but that's also combined with another race too. So those numbers are still low as compared to 45.4% of non-Hispanic white men, right? So it's not to say that these stigmas don't affect them either, because ultimately these stigmas affect all men, right? But they have more of a level of vulnerability than we do when it comes to receiving mental health services. All right? And so 8.5% of black teens were more likely to attempt suicide as opposed to white teenagers, 6.2%, right? So what this tells me, right, growing up, I heard that, oh, if somebody had attempted suicide or died by suicide, it had to be somebody white. Black people don't do that. We don't do these things, right? But that statistic says otherwise. Young man, you all are dealing with things that impact you very heavily every day, day in and day out, right? You turn on the TV, you see negative news articles, you see it on social media, right? You hear what's being said around school. Those things can affect you mentally and physically, right? And so, to go along with that, black adolescents are less likely to have access to mental health care, right? Which means they're at greater risk of dying by suicide. So with that, if you do have access in your communities, if you do have people to talk to, please, fellas, go seek that out. Be vulnerable enough to go seek that out, right? It doesn't make you corny. It doesn't make you weak, right? It makes you human. So please go seek that out. And another thing I thought was important to know, black psychologists only make up 4% of the field, right? 4%. And that's mainly women. So when we talk about black men, it's less than 1%. Less than 1%. So it's not a lot of young men that look like you all that's in this field, right? So I want to stress the importance of you all in this field, right? So a lot of you all are good listeners. A lot of you all are curious. And those are very foundational skills to have as a psychologist, right? And of course, there are other skills that you need in order to succeed in grad school and things like that, but that's a great foundation to start at, right? So we need you young men. So, checking in. How many of you all have heard checking in on your people, checking in on your friends? Right? So quite a few. But do we all know how to check in? Right? Do we know how to check in? Say yeah. Right. That's one way you can do it. But there's also a little more to it, right? So when we check in, you may ask them, hey bro, you good? You alright? You straight? And then, you know, the next answer is, you know, all right, cool. And then usually segues to another conversation, or we just leave it at that. But I put some tips up here to help you guys, you know, further dig deeper into what's going on, right? So, when you ask, how you doing? You all right? Somebody say, I'm cool, whatever. Do a deep dive into that, right? And so a question that can follow up after that is, what's going well for you, right? So a lot of us like to talk about the good things going on in our life, things that are going well, right? And so if somebody is reluctant to say, you know, and you really care about them and you're really friends, you know enough about them, you can be like, hey man, I saw you got a 95 there now. Like, it seems like you're doing well now. Or, you know, I saw you at your track meet. I saw you at the basketball game. It seems like you're doing all right, right? So that's one way, you know, to dig a little deeper, right? And so the second one is what a lot of black men have trouble with, right? Because with this one comes the level of vulnerability you have to have, right? So what are some things that you're struggling with? And with this one, they might not tell you. It might take a while. So in order to try to get some type of response, you know, you can be vulnerable, right? You be like, man, I'm struggling in this class, like I just don't get it. Or, you know, like, man, I'm just sad, like I feel like I'm depressed, right? So you being vulnerable can open up that gateway for them to be vulnerable as well. But it's not gonna work if nobody's willing to be vulnerable, right? And then so lastly, but the most important one is what do you need, right? And so this is the most important one because as a friend, as a person that's checking in, you have to be patient with this one, right? You have to really sit down and listen. And the reason I say this is because every time I've ever asked this question, right, to a client or to just a friend, right, it's usually, I don't know. And sometimes we don't know what we need, right? So a lot of times they say, I don't know, right? So I'll give you an example. I asked a young man one time, I'm like, so what do you need? He kept saying, I don't know. And then he said, I don't know, I feel like a loser. He kept saying, I feel like a loser, right? So I let him get his emotions out. And then I intervene, right? And I say, well, what it sounds like I'm hearing is you need a win. And he looked at me and he's like, yeah, you're right. Right? And then so after he told me that, we went through some steps of what a win would look like. How can we give him a win so he cannot feel like a loser, right? But I was only able to get to that point because I was patient. I listened, right? And I wasn't just like, oh, you don't know? I don't know either. We could just go about our day, right? But you have to be patient with people, right? So that is definitely the most important one, fellas. Steadiness. This one, this has a hold on our community, especially as men, right? How many of you heard men don't cry? We all pretty much every hand went up, right? Every hand don't went up. Yeah, that's false. That's false, fellas. Crying doesn't make you weak. Crying doesn't make you less of a man. None of that, right? And so I'll give y'all a quick story. So I was eight, and it was a regular basketball game. Time running off the clock, whatever. And you know, I'm ready to go to halftime. I'm ready to drink Gatorade because I know that at that age, the best time about the game is to eat snacks and drink Gatorade, right? We all know that. So, you know, time runs out, go over to the bench. My dad's a coach. My dad was a military man, so you can imagine how he was speaking to me. So, man, he's talking to me crazy. Everybody here, everybody. And he said this, so I started crying, right? And so he said, boy, I better not ever see you cry again, ever. And he said, matter of fact, you better not ever let nobody see you cry. That's what he said to me, right? And so from that moment on, that was like the last time I cried up until about 20 something. And I'm 25, right? So that's how much it impacted me until it got to the point where I needed to go get help, and I got help. And man, in that session, that therapy session, I cried so much. I cried pretty much the whole session. But man, I felt so good. I felt free. And so with me feeling that freeness, with me feeling that release, I was like, man, there's no way. There's no way it's true. Because I wouldn't feel this good. Right? So fellas, it's okay. It's okay to cry. Right? And so in the black community, a lot of older people, right? I don't know how many of you all have heard this, but you know, in the South, a lot of times they say, you know, just go to church, pray the pain away, praise the pain away, right? Grandma said, grandpa said, auntie, uncle, and it's yeah. I'm not saying don't do that, because that is great. It is great to have faith, right? But you also need to put some works behind that, right? That's why the Lord or whoever you guys believe, that's why He gave us psychologists. That's why He gave us therapy, so we can help unpack the things that you may not be able to properly express. Okay? And then the last one. How many of y'all have heard that? Or how many of y'all, this has been said, what goes on in this house stays in this house? Yeah. That one right there is one we really need to break. Because if something is happening to you that's affecting you mentally, affecting you physically, you need to tell somebody. Because whatever that is that's affecting you, that's going on in that house, and staying in that house, ultimately, you may not leave that house because of that. And because you internalized that. You didn't let nobody know. Right? So please, fellas, it's okay to cry. It's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show your emotions. It doesn't make you less of a man. It doesn't make you corny, lame, none of that. Alright? So, you all have people within your schools that you can contact when it goes beyond just the friend level, right? When you feel like you really need to go get some help, right? So you have some school counselors, you have some school social workers, right? You have the FRIS, and you have district mental health specialists. We got some right up here, sitting in this section, right? And if you all see these men, you all can talk to them if you have something going on, right? So, and these are also some additional resources. You can click on the link, and Mr. Guthrie has a PowerPoint, so if you all need some additional assistance with maybe suicide prevention, domestic violence, anything like that, he can send that over to you, and it'll direct you into where you need to go, okay? So, we talked all about mental health, and you know, how it impacts us and all of this, but you know, the biggest question is, well, how do I get connected to a therapist or to a psychologist, right? So, I outlined that for you all as well today. So you go to psychologytoday.com, right? So once you get to this website, it'll have a search bar. And on the search bar, you type in your zip code. And then so you type in your zip code, and then a list of therapists in your area are going to come up, right? And then there will be extensive bios, right? And so please read through these. Read through these thoroughly, all right? So see what services they offer, okay? So see what things that you are experiencing and see if they can help you with that, right? See what they specialize in. And also see if they're taking insurance or not, right? And that may be a question you may have to ask your parents because you all may not know what type of insurance you have. But these are important questions because you all need to know. And then, as well, the most important part is make a list. Make a list of 3 to 5, or it could be 5 to 7, right? And this is important because sometimes therapists are booked up. Right? Sometimes they may not have the availability or capacity to see you right then and there. And you may need assistance right then. So make a list, right? And then under their name, the email and the phone will be right there. So do both. Email and call them, right? But you may be like, man, I don't know what to say, right? I got you, it's cool. But before I show you this template, right? Before it gets there to where you feel like you have to contact a therapist, contact somebody in your school if you have a trusted adult, right? A counselor, a social worker, a teacher, whomever, or if it's your parents, right? So go there first before you feel like you have to utilize this resource, right? So this is a template that I made for you all, right? It's short and sweet and it's straight to the point. Because I know me at this age, I probably would have said, hey, bro, I just need help. Man, like, what do you help with? I don't know, I need help. Right? So that's cool, you're reaching out for help, but you need to let them know a little more, right? So in this template, right, it says, hello, I hope this email finds you well. I'm inquiring about potentially receiving therapeutic services. I'm seeking to receive your services that specialize in blank, whatever may be going on. And I'm looking to see if you are taking new clients, right? I look forward to hearing from you soon. Feel free to call me at whatever your number is or respond to this email. Warm regards, you can put your first and your last. And also, don't forget to add a subject. So in your subject, you can say therapeutic services injury. Because, if it just says blank, they might not open it. They might not ever see, what you're inquiring about. Right, fellas? So, just let me know if you all need that, and I can get that to you or Mr. Harrison or whomever. All right? So, most importantly, I know we did a lot of talking, but, man, your emotions matter, young man. Your emotions matter, right? And I'm going to say it again. I said it a lot, but it's okay to be vulnerable, right? It's okay to cry. It's okay to not be okay. We say that, but do we truly believe that? Do y'all truly believe that it's okay to be not okay? Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. So a couple of y'all said that. But see, it wasn't as many hands up as, when I was going through like stigmas or when I was going through the witch rabbits, right? So I want you all to believe that, right? You all have people in the building that care about you, okay? So talk to those individuals, right? Let them know what's going on. Talk to your parents, okay? And, it's been great talking to you all. I'm going to stay a little bit after. You guys need to talk about anything, right? If you just want to chop it up, if you just want to ask me about school, I'll be here for a little bit. So whatever I can do to help you all, that's what I'm here for. So I appreciate you all for letting me speak with you all.
Oh yeah, BJ.
Okay, so we're gonna go have the panel just tell us what you guys do for a living. So whoever wants to go first.
So I'm Dr. Brittany Gentry. I'm the clinical director of the Trauma-Informed Counseling Center, and I'm also an adjunct instructor for the University of Kentucky.
My name is Steve Durson. I'm the social worker at Paul Crutch Dunbar High School. I've been at Dunbar High School for 25 years.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Elton Parrish. I am a mental health specialist at Lafayette High School, and I've been doing this for a couple of decades, so I've been around for a while.
I'm Justin Adepoye. Many of you already know who I am. I'm the district mental health specialist here at Carnegie Woodson Academy. Also at Douglas, the hallways of the building. Pretty much it. I've been doing this. I'm a young gun, so been in for about 4 years now.
So, my name is Jerry Murphy. Once again, I'm in the school psychology program, so I've been at this 2 years, and I'm at the University of Kentucky.
made you all choose this profession?
I guess I'll go first. So I chose the profession, I guess my bachelor, similar to Ms. Murphy, I have a things than just do therapy. Like I have a nonprofit, I'm a clinical director, I teach schools, but my main focus is still being able to help people, and that's the main focus.
Growing up, I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I tried several different majors in college, but my mentor went to the church that I attended. She was a social worker for Child Protective Services, and she talked to me about maybe going into social work after my sophomore year in college, after I'd been through my 3 different majors. So I really respected her and the work that she did. Her name is Juanita Green, just to put her out there. She influenced me so much just to go into the field of social work.
I had an opportunity to be a mentor at a Big Brother Big Sister program, and kind of inspired me. I thought that, I liked this, because at first I thought I wanted to be in business and a big office, and it didn't really fit me. But once I got into that program, I started working in the schools. It kind of inspired me to kind of think I had something to offer. And in that particular route, led me to be able to think about how I could offer that, especially in regards to who I am, and counseling directed me towards that and helped me out. So there are other people I met, I talked with about it, and it really helped me dive into the particular curriculum.
Mine started at a younger age, and one would think, grew up where I was born in Chicago, then I moved to Georgia, so I moved from a very diverse area to predominantly white area. So, troubled youth, and every time I would get in trouble, it was usually due to race. Somebody, calling me an N-word or saying something about my family, which is very frustrating. So, what do? I go to the principal, I go to administration, but they don't even know what to do, because they, the administration didn't make up, or reflect who I was. So a lot of that stuff got ignored. So then what did I do? I decided to fight, right? I decided to beat kids up. And that wasn't the right thing to do, but that was the only thing I thought I could do, do that for myself. So then I made that conscious decision at that age that when I get older, I'm going to be a representative, be an individual that, students such as yourself can come to and talk to when you're dealing with things like that. And it doesn't result in any violence or anything like that. So.
Yeah, so similar to the other panelists, I really did know what I wanted to do, and it's I'm pretty early in my career, so I really just kind of figured out what I wanted to do.
I was a college athlete. I was playing basketball in Wichita, and I had a contract to go overseas, and I thought that was what I was going to do until COVID hit, the pandemic hit, and then it kept getting pushed back and back and back. And my mom was like, "We're gonna have to do something. He's gonna be sitting in this house." So I had a mentor, and he was in school psychology. He was telling me about it, and I looked more into it, and I was like, man, I could really make a change, right? And similar to his story right here, I went to an underfunded school, majority black, didn't have too many resources, and then I ended up getting a scholarship to go to a private school, all white, but nobody could help me. Like the issues that was going on, I didn't have nobody to talk to. Nobody that looked like me, right? And these issues just persisted on, right? And so similar situation. I started to fight, started getting in trouble. So I almost kicked me out, right? So that's why I chose this profession, to help young men that look like you.
In your own opinion, what is mental health?
Mental health is directing your actions, feelings, and thoughts, and being very mindful about how you kind of dictate, or also actually how you're considered compassionate to those particular aspects.
in your mental, your physical, and your spiritual aspects of who you are, you have to be very, very conscious and considerate about how your particular things are going to affect somebody else. So, but in the same sense, make sure you're thinking about you sometimes in a selfish way, because you do have to kind of articulate what's going on with you inside. And sometimes we don't know how to speak those words. Sometimes we don't know how to express those emotions. And I know as men, young men, sometimes the first thing we want to do is ball our fists up and fight, argue, be upset. But sometimes there's other emotions that kind of lead us to, I'm hurt, I'm disappointed, I'm frustrated. So be mindful about how you feel first, and then begin to correct yourself in regards to where you need to go to begin to get healthy mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, as well as physically. Because sometimes we tend to forget about our physical aspects of what we do for ourselves.
I think mental health is just health in general. It's just your personal health, how you wake up each day, how you deal with different experiences that are going to come your way. I'm probably much older than everybody up here, and the thing that I was taught a long time ago by my parents was that you're going to have days where you don't feel like you want to do whatever you want to do. So my parents, they didn't talk much about mental health in my household. They really just, hey, you got to deal with it, suck it up and deal with it. My dad was a military guy, and I heard so many times he'd tell me, you better just suck it up and deal with it. But today is a little different. In the days and times, you always need to be mindful of what is coming your way through social media, what is coming your way through the people you deal with, and just how you react to situations that pop up in life. So that to me is mental health. It's just health. It's how you go through every day.
I just want to also, mental health and mental illness are two different things. So they did an excellent job describing what mental health is, but you have to understand everybody has a mental health. It's when things start causing you dysfunction, when you start trying to wonder if you have a mental illness. And not all mental illnesses are bad. Sometimes you're just born with it. Stuff happens and it's kind of waking up. Or you're under a lot of stress. I mean, think about the transition from elementary school to middle school to high school, and soon for some of you guys, high school into quote unquote the adult world. It's going to bring a lot of stressors. But it doesn't mean that you have a mental illness. It just means that something has disrupted your mental health, which is, like they said, your social and physiological well-being.
So I like to compare it to our physical health. You know, when you break your arm, what do? You usually go to the doctor, get an x-ray, get it taken care of, get it put in the splint or cast, and it'll heal. Same thing with your mind, right? Your mind controls your body. And so when things aren't right or don't seem right, it's important that we at least find somebody to talk to about it and see if it warrants you to go further. Maybe seeing a school psychologist, maybe seeing a mental health specialist, and so on. And like Dr. Gentry said, you know, the idea of when it starts to impact your daily activities, that's kind of like, you know, everyone has anxiety, right? We're taking a test, typically people get nervous, palms start sweating, especially if you didn't study. You know, you're worried that you're going to fail, you're going to get home and you're going to have it. But, you know, it's that transition where you now, before the test even begun, you're a week in advance, you're studying, but you're still so worried about it and it's affecting you every day. So, you know, being able to know the difference and understand the difference is important as well.
I agree with everything they said. They said it perfect. By attending a PWI, how did that affect your mental health, if at all, by being a majority?
Ooh, yeah, I can speak to that, so I'm directly in it. Man, that's a really great question. It definitely impacted my mental health. I don't know if you guys have heard of imposter syndrome, but that's something that I felt definitely coming into this program. You know, I was making a transition from being an athlete to not being an athlete no more, right? And that's what I associated myself with. That was my identity. And then now that I'm at this school, right, University of Kentucky, and I'm in a graduate program, there's even less black people and even less black men that look like me. So, you know, I was dealing with the thoughts of, man, I don't even know if I should be here. I don't know if I belong here. I don't know if I'm smart enough, right? I don't see people that look like me here, right? So, you know, I went through that whole thing, and, you you know, I had to go seek help. I had to go seek therapy. You know, I'm still currently in therapy because, you know, these thoughts, they don't just go away, right? When you go seek help, it's not like, oh, I seek help once and it's gone, right? You know, sometimes those thoughts still cross my mind, but I know also too that I'm there for a reason, right? And I belong there just like you know, they feel like they belong there as well.
I'll speak to, so I also attended UK, all 3 degrees, and I'm not from here, I'm from Columbus, so coming here, I'm from a suburb that is predominantly white, but I don't think I ever experienced as much microaggression until I got to Kentucky. Especially when I got here, I was the only black female cheerleader on the team, so a lot of times I had been put into boxes or had to deal with a lot of like the black people questions or you're so well spoken as if it's a surprise. And not that I'm just a student at UK, so why wouldn't I be just as intelligent as everybody else? So that took a big toll on my mental health because I was 3 hours away from home, always having to overcompensate and prove myself just to keep up with my white counterparts, on top of balancing an athletic schedule, school, social life, and just still trying to find myself. So it definitely had a tremendous impact on my mental health, but also it's what drew me to the field.
I attended University of Kentucky for undergrad. I attended University of Louisville for grad school. Going back to UK, my first 2 years at UK were horrible. I came very close to flunking out of school, losing my scholarship, but all of that was based upon the decisions that I was choosing to make at that time. I didn't always make good decisions all throughout life, not just when I was in college. But the thing that I figured out after my second year of college is that it's all about who you associate yourself with. So the first 2 years I was at UK, I was really trying to associate myself with dudes I met at the Seton Center, which was the basketball court at the time. People I met at the blue courts, because I was always trying to play basketball, do something athletic. But then after that sophomore year, I realized through the help of Chester Grundy and Mr. Buzz Burnham that I really needed to surround myself with people that had higher goals. I was an African-American man. I graduated from Bryan Station High School. So I saw African-American people, like I was in the community everywhere. But when I got to UK, I kind of felt like I was a nobody because it was so big. So after that sophomore year, I started associating myself with people that were involved in the Black Student Union, some of the guys that were leaders of different fraternities, and some of the ladies that were involved in sororities. I started trying to make better decisions about who I hung around with. And that really gave me all the confidence I needed to just get through UK. So I think it's very important who you hang around with. Because a lot of times, if you hang with people that don't want to do anything or don't have goals and ambitions, they end up pulling you down and you don't end up pulling them up.
My experience is totally different. I went to HBCU, so I'm gonna stand, my chest comes out. Thank you, thank God for Howard University, so that's what I say. So when I got to my university, I was amazed. And just like when I look around right here, I saw so many black faces looking back at me in so many different aspects, from California, Texas, Alabama, New York. So, what I experienced was not a thing of trying to be accepted. It's just like, which one am I going to get in? And so it was a different experience. And I have to say that, and I don't say that in regards to light of individuals who went to PWIs, but if you have an opportunity to go to a historically black college, the legacy that you're going to get into, the connections that you're going to begin to establish, it will follow you for the rest of your life. When we go back to homecoming, it's homecoming. And so, you have an opportunity to be surrounded by individuals who think like you, who act like you, but then you also understand that people just like you, who look like you, sometimes have different thought patterns, have different thought processes in regards to what they want to do. So my experience in college and university, I can go and share with so many other things, but I won't get into that because I'm a little bit too young for that. So, but yeah, my experience was a little bit different in HBCU at Howard University.
So I'll go in a little bit different direction with the question. So I got a scholarship to play football at Eastern Kentucky University. Very, very different for me. Obviously, I was moving from a rural area. I know Richmond, Kentucky doesn't seem very diverse, but compared to where I was coming from, it was pretty diverse. How many athletes do I have in here? Raise your hand. Got a bunch of athletes, right? So this is something that, is very, very important that you all understand when it comes to being a student athlete, right? And so, I get to Eastern Kentucky, I'm on full ride, everything's great. But like I said earlier, I made a decision, a conscious decision that I was going to help people in any way I could. And the only way to do that in that time was to get a degree and move forward with that. And so my degree was the most important thing to me. However, going to a PWI, being a black student athlete, the stigma or the idea is that athlete is simply there to play ball, right? You're simply there to get the job done. And so I told myself I was going to be the exception, and that's exactly what I was. I remember, and I talked to this coach on a regular basis, but I remember coming in late one time from an internship to a film session, and he said, "Where you been?" I said, "Coach, you know where I've been. I go to my clinical deal every week at this time. I'm late, I ran the track." And what he told me changed everything. It confirmed everything that I already knew, which was, he said, "Okay, throw your degree on the 50-yard line and see how many games that wins you." So think about that. Throw your degree on the 50-yard line and see how many games that wins you. So it was obvious that, okay, this is a business and what they're trying to do is win games. And I get that. But what I was trying to do is get a degree. Because once all this football stuff is over, okay, now I'm in the real world and I got to get a job. Now I got to be stable, right? I got to be able to provide for my family. So I just want you guys, the athletes here, you've got to hone in on that, right? A lot of you guys are going to get scholarships. I commend you for that. I congratulate you for that. But make sure you do what is best for you moving forward. Because at the end of the day, all you're going to have is that piece of paper, and that's the most important part. Okay? I know a lot of you guys want to go to the NBA, go to the NFL. I'm telling you, it's rare, right? Okay? I went to a couple mini camps in the NFL, bounced around. It is challenging to do so. Okay? But just understand that, at the end of the day, the piece of paper is the most important part because they can't take it away from you.
How does seeing positive and or negative images that look like you affect your mental as you navigate through school and life?
Well, seeing positive images for me just let me know that, I don't have to fit into that mold, like Mr. Justin was talking about. I don't have to just be an athlete, right? I don't have to just be an entertainer. I can be a doctor, I can be a lawyer, I can be a psychologist, right? And I think it's really important because representation doesn't matter. They do matter. Representation matters because if you don't see it, then it's like you don't know if you can beat it, right? But if you can see it, you can definitely achieve it. So I think that's how positive images really affected me throughout my career.
Should I say positive and negative?
Yes, sir.
All right, so raise your hand if you're an NBA young boy fan. What about some of the other rappers? Lil Baby, what's going So every time you get up to get dressed for school in your uniform, how many videos have you seen him wear exactly what y'all wearing now? So think about some of the images that you guys glorify is necessarily how sometimes America wants to view you all as black men. But you guys have the ability to be versatile because here you have to wear what you're wearing and you're being praised and put on this platform to get a different path. But at the same time, how many times do you feel like you have to resort to some of that style and behavior just to get some of the attention for people who are not in this program? Raise your hand. Well, be honest, y'all all lying. Right? How many times you up sagging? You get in trouble for sagging. Okay, so you gotta think about it. Some of the images that you see, if you don't want to be stereotyped and placing a stigma, you have to make sure that you're representing yourself for who you are. Even if you're into something like country, that's fine, it's who you are. But I think a lot of times, the media wants you guys to portray a certain way just to kind of show that you have quote unquote clout, or you're cool, or shows your strength, or vulnerability, all those other things, and that's not necessary. So I know we're here speaking to the positive, I'm going to speak to the negatives, that you do not have to conform to certain things. Just to be who you are and just to be recognized for the greatness that you have.
Do recognize that those negative images are not going to stop anytime soon. And you're going to have to fortify yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually in regards to how you deal with it. Your particular presentation and your particular first impression on that particular person who sees you, they might not think good of you or bad of you. But the thing about that is you have to begin to think that about yourself. What do you think about yourself and how you step out into the world? What do you think about yourself when you step into your school? What do you think about yourself when you go back home? Any aspect that you do, you have to be more mindful, more thoughtful, and you have to be strong in regards to who you are. But the only way you learn that is by educating yourself. You're going to have to pick up another book besides what your teacher tells you about different things in life. You're going to have to pick up different aspects that's going to help you understand that you're more than what they told you that you are. I can tell you, as many young men in here right now, there is something that somebody has told you that's negative since you've been in kindergarten all the way to you are right now. And you have to continue to tell yourself and believe in yourself when you step out into this world. So some of you guys that may or may not hear this message, I see some of you guys asleep, you're missing out. Because you're sleeping on yourself. You're sleeping on the fact of what you can be, what you can aspire to be, and how you can begin to help somebody else. So it's up to you. And you got to be able to deal with the fact that somebody's going to call you an N-word, somebody's going to think that you can only be a rapper, somebody can only think that you can be an athlete, but there's so much more to you as a person. So make sure when you extend your hand, you're doing it to help, to be considerate, and to bring somebody up so they can begin to do the same that you're doing.
I'm going to take a moment just to compliment the administration at Carter G. Woodson Academy. When you talk about images, when I was young, we looked at images on TV, but we also had people in our neighborhood that were going to work every day and trying to do the right thing. You have people right here in this building. I'm not a big believer in looking at images on TV because those dudes I don't know, those girls I don't know. But you have people like Mr. Taquay. He's a great role model in our community. You have, yes, yeah, clap for them. Like sometimes we don't know what we have right here in Lexington. Roz Akins. Miss Akins, are you still here? Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Akins, they are legends in Lexington. Mr. Johnson, R.J. Johnson, you all's counselor. I could go through and name everybody in Carter G. Woodson that I've come into contact with that I don't have to look on TV to see greatness. I don't. Greatness is right here in this room. The young men that performed on stage, that's greatness in the making right there. All of them, everybody that performed, greatness. You all sitting here in the suits, in your sport jackets, you all are the next leaders. Like, don't take that lightly. You're next. Like, who's next? So be ready for that challenge of next. The last thing I'm gonna say is that, I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but your faith in God can take you places you never thought you could go. I'm not gonna go through the life story, but he knows because he's my cousin. I came very close to dying about 14 years ago. And during that time, this is why mental health means so much to me. During that time, and I'm not telling you all anything that he doesn't know, I was not in a good place. I was not in a good place mentally. And at first, I thought, oh, I can work through this. I'm tough. My daddy told me to be tough. I couldn't work through that by myself. So I had to go get counseling to help me work through what had happened to me. And this brother right here, who, like I said, is my cousin, who I love to death, when I was on my deathbed, what I thought was my deathbed, he said, man, whatever you need, I got you. And I appreciate that. And we need to be that same way toward each other right here in Lexington. So the dudes y'all cool with in here, y'all laugh with, you joke with, that's cool. But when your brother needs you, make sure you're there for your brother.
I'm going to jump to our last question. When it comes to justice, one could think that we as minorities don't see as much as the majority. With all the images and videos that we see in the media and on social media, how do you advise anyone to deal with the mental breakdowns from seeing such injustice and lack of victory?
I like to say, to answer myself question, definitely you gotta have a level of detachment. You gotta, sometimes you gotta turn off social media. You gotta not watch TV, because as young black men, you don't have to see it to know that this stuff is going on, right? You experience some of this stuff in everyday life. Maybe not to that extent, but you don't have to see it. So definitely you gotta have a sense of detachment.
Yeah, I agree. Detachment, but also understanding that, you know, a lot of things in the media is portrayed based on how the applicant sees it, right? Their perspective. You know, as you get older, you'll learn that. So you have to detach yourself from that stuff and surround yourself with individuals like we talked about before who lift you up and not hold you down. And help you through those times when something hits home, something that you see on TV directly affects you. You having someone to talk to about the process. As human beings, we love for things to make sense. And when they don't, it's a challenge for them, right? So we go looking for answers. So, you know, let us be those individuals for you that can help you at least go in the right direction.
Sometimes we're not going to get the answers. And I know sometimes we kind of wonder why police are beating us in the street, killing us in the street, why there's presentations in regards to us not being able to be positive images. But what we have to do, like Mr. A said, is we have to turn it off. And we got to do something for ourselves. You know, either maybe doing some push-ups, jogging, something physically that maybe takes your mind off of what you're thinking about mentally. And removing yourself from those particular things and trying to step away from it. Now, when you do have to deal with it, just try to rely upon what it is that you've learned, some of the people that you know, and try to put some sort of positive and kind of basically the opposite of what they're telling us. And as much as it's difficult and it's hard, really, really hard, because even as an old man, I deal with it as well too. And sometimes I just have to go to people I love, people I care about, people that care about me, and ask them questions, or we just sit and talk about it, and then we just have conversations, and it helps to know that I'm not alone in it. And as long as you understand that you're not alone in this fight, you know, you feel like you're able to go to war, you're able to go to battle, you can deal with any type of conflict that might come your way, that you know you got people who have your back.
Again, I say use the adults in the building. Wonderful leaders here, use them. They've been through battles. They're battle tested. In my school, I don't have one kid, like when something happens socially, I don't have one kid the next day come and ask me my thoughts or say, man, what are your thoughts on what happened? So that makes me wonder, I wonder if they even know what happened. Sometimes we need to be aware and read the newspaper, look online at CNN or whatever you get your news from, and find out what's going on out here. You know, there's a big world outside of Lexington, and I'm telling you, that world is waiting for you to lead. Not enough good leaders in this world. We need all the men in this academy to lead.
So I'm going to take a different direction. So a lot of my clients that I work with are with the juvenile justice system, and so it got to the point for me, I couldn't watch the news. Because most of the time, if I heard that a teenager was shot and killed or involved in some major crime, they were more likely either my student or my client. And so a thing called vicarious trauma is real. So vicarious trauma is every time that we are indirectly involved. So every time we have to watch like the George Floyd tapes, the tapes that just came out with the beatings, the things all over the social media about the shootings in Michigan. That's a lot. And we're constantly watching that. Car accidents, everything's so negative. And so it starts to take a toll on what we were talking about earlier, your mental health. Doesn't mean you have a mental illness, but it can take a toll on your mental health. And I'm a little afraid to ask this question, but raise your hand if you actually lost a family member or a friend to some of the violence that's been going on. Think about how that made you feel, because it's not normal. Some of these kids that I work with, it becomes their norm. They become resilient to it, so they're no longer affected by it, but they are affected by it. But you put it behind your head for so long, you choose so much energy not thinking about it, but that could be energy that you're using for something more positive because it's not normal. But we're having to constantly hear about it, constantly see, and if you're not talking to someone about it, then eventually it will take a toll on you as you get older, because unfortunately it's not going to stop. We can help try to eradicate to some point, but it won't really stop. So think about that. If it's starting to bother you, you're thinking about it all the time, it changes the course of how stressed you are, how you trust people. You got Mr. A, I know Mr. A, the Trauma-Informed Counseling Center actually sees you guys. So Mr. Price is a black male CSW who is assigned to your school to talk to you. So if you ever need something in additional, you can reach out to Mr. A and do that as well.
Okay, well, I appreciate it for you guys taking time out of your day to come see us. We'd like to get you guys in there. Any SJ members, please come to the front.
You gotta open it. This look like the pop chart profile picture he's got. The second time you got jumped in the zero. You affected that with the test for 2 different things. You got the food and COVID. No, stop it.
So as our program comes to a close, we would like to start off with our dismissal after everyone just gets settled.
Because there's, hey! I'm ready to go list, bro. There, go, nigga. Stop! Good jumper.
You're wrong, bro.
Because they can't get a dog.
All right, gentlemen, if you're not with Guthrie on the program, we're going to go to lunch or we got to go back to our second block. If you're not in Guthrie's group with him, we're going to second block lunch. What
Yes.
Gentlemen, right here, we gotta go. According to Mr. Guthrie, let's roll. We're going to second block, okay? But don't hide. You're right there. We're going to second block. You got a plan. You got to put the color, man. Are y'all with him? Where's Harrison? Harrison's gone. Where's
What? I can't hear you. We're trying to find the mic. They're cleaning up to find the mic. Yeah, they're not. They're gone. They're not with us. Okay, put down the box, okay? What'd you say? Where's the other two? What'd you say with it? I got it's delayed a little bit, but is that good? Yeah. Hey, EJ. Hey, EJ. What did you do with the mic you practiced singing with? My check. No, where's the practice? The handheld practice. Where's the handheld? No, the handheld's up there. He had a wireless one today. What a wireless? He's practicing. What's that? No. Keep it with that blue, it's from that light in front of EJ. I think. What? It's some light back there. It's projecting blue.
That white, the white part. The white crop
It's like a 26 second. Who got my water bottle? It's over there, okay.
Yeah, that's it. Better. I think what you have is you have a mix of green. Yeah, it is. Like the floor is not true. It's actually picking up the green. That plate, you see the plate, it's gone. I'd move the green. I would move that screen over. All right, take these, cuz.
Oh, yeah. Put that on the guest. Yes. That needs to go on the card.
They got a white shirt.
This is right here. All the wrong stuff. Stuff on his favorite? Yeah. All right.
Yeah, scoop that one to your right. Yep. You trying to key out. That's it. That's it. He's cutting his head off.
Reference track is there, right?
Yeah, everything's here.
All right, hang on.
Yeah. I don't be in the one day. One day this week. I'm going to be 3 days a week. I'm going today after work. I'll be in the gym. Oh, the day off from club. Going today too. After the club. Hey, nigga, this is cool. Stop it. Evil Empire. I've seen it. No.
Go to Jack. Go.
Woodson Smart EU. Have you seen? Actually, this is not a box. Yeah. Look at the mount on his head.
To positively promote male engagement and learning in education.
This mental health is something that's real, and it's something that affects so many of us, and we need to be able to address that. We need to be able to share our feelings and know how to express ourselves. We essentially created a band, a team, and we're creating a song, and this song is going to address loneliness in the Black community and just mental health in general. So the title of the song is called Alone in the Desert.